the neck is a low load, high mobility design. See the muscles in my neck? They're small.
Cool.
Right? As compared to the muscles in my glutes,
Right.
quads, these are big, beefy muscles, right? Small bones, small muscles, means they're designed for small work.
Okay.
Okay?
Makes sense, yeah.
Lots of individual pieces, which allow for a lot of mobility. Okay? So the neck is designed to rest on top of the shoulders, okay, and basically just balance, rotate, and stabilize the head on top of the shoulders. It is not designed to hold the weight of your head up at all times. When the head shifts forward, you are forced to hold up the weight of your head all the time.
Gotcha.
These neck muscles were never designed for that. Okay? They are built and designed to turn on, turn off. Okay? Feel my neck. Let me do that side. Okay? Relaxed, right? You're not feeling tight contraction.
Nope.
Okay? Contraction. Feel it?
Yep.
No contraction.
Yep.
That's what these muscles are for. Turn on, turn off. Turn on, turn off. That's it. Okay? But when this area gets dysfunctional, our head comes forward, our scapula goes forward. These muscles become, instead of balancers and stabilizers, they become structural cables that we're forcing to hold our head up.
Out of pure, just like...
Out of pure geometry.
Yeah.
When that head comes out in front, now our neck muscles are holding our head up, because if they didn't,
right,
we would just be looking at our feet all day.
Gotcha.
Okay? And so then when this scapula tilts forward, when we get this rounded shoulder position, shoulder blade position, we lose scapula stability, and all of the work of raising our arm and all of our arm movements come directly into the neck. Okay? And so we overload the neck. So let's go back to, how is the neck supposed to work?
Cool.
Okay? The neck is a low load, high mobility area. So it should rest on top of the shoulders. These muscles should stay relaxed. It should bend laterally 60 degrees, and it should rotate 90 degrees.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what a healthy neck looks like.
Okay.
Okay? Everybody needs to know what a healthy neck is supposed to look like, because everybody owns one. We want to make you a good joint owner.
I feel like you should say that one more, the metrics one more time. Like, just say it one more time.
Sure. The head should stack on top of the shoulders.
Right.
Okay? That makes it so that these muscles aren't constantly holding your head up.
Yes.
Okay? So now it's just resting and balancing on your shoulders.
Gotcha.
Then your head should be mobile enough to bend sideways. That's called lateral flexion. Not that important. Okay? 60 degrees.
60 degrees.
And it should be able to rotate 90 degrees.
Okay.
Okay?
So they can check that right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
To see how things are going on with your neck. Yep.
Yep. That's how it's supposed to work.
Right.
In that state, chronically tight traps, constant headaches, and neck degeneration are not a thing.
Oh,
Okay.
That's what happens when things are over tight there?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know that. So if people are having those problems...
Chronically tight traps, headaches, and degenerative conditions of the neck are not an inescapable reality of life. They are a reality of poor biomechanics and poor maintenance of your neck. Okay? That's the takeaway there.
Cool.
Okay. Let's talk about the neck.
Okay.
We might be able to do this whole segment right here at this close-up. This is nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's cool.
So the neck is hugely dependent upon everything below it.
Okay.
Okay? So when you think about taking care of your neck,
Yeah.
okay, the neck is only healthy if your mid-back is healthy, if your scapula is healthy, if your shoulders are healthy, because the neck is completely and utterly dependent upon the thoracic spine, the scapula, all of the scapula stabilizers, and the shoulder. Problems never start in the neck, they end in the neck.
That is so weird, because I don't want to go too far into the lower body, but it's like lower body, bottom up, and this is interesting that it's like top down kind of?
It's not, it's still bottom up. It's the head is resting on top of the shoulders.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
and so when the same thing with the hips and the low back.
Yep.
When the hips get dysfunctional, the low back gets destroyed.
Fired up, yep.
When this area, when the scapula, the mid back get dysfunctional, the neck gets destroyed.
Wow.
Joints are always dependent upon the joints above and below them.
Right.
Okay, and so the neck is dependent upon the joints below them.
Cool.
Okay, so when you have a neck problem, you never actually have a neck problem. You have a mid-back problem, you have a scapula problem, you have a shoulder problem. No one has neck problems.
So if you think you have a neck problem,
You're wrong.
it's not a neck problem.
You can have a lot of neck pain
That is caused by.
that is caused by
Mid-back.
problems in the mid-back, the scapula, and the shoulders. Okay, let's break that down a
Let's
little
do
bit.
it, yeah.
So, the shoulder blades,
Yeah.
okay, the shoulder blades, your scapula, should sit in an upright position.
Right.
Okay, so they should sit upright, pointing up toward the sky.
How is this guy? Is he all right?
He's okay. He's a little bit tilted forward, but not a ton.
But you want these points
I mean,
perpendicular to.
yeah, I mean vertically or 0 to 10 degrees is
okay.
fine.
Okay.
So in that position, in an upright scapula, you have evenly distributed the load of carrying your own weight and all your shoulder movements across this entire region of stabilizers,
Okay.
which includes the neck.
Okay.
Okay?
Is there a muscle that's connected? So there's a muscle that's connected here to here somewhere?
Yeah, your traps.
Oh, that's what the trap does.
Okay. So your traps insert here. Okay. Well, they kind of insert all the way down, but
Wait. It comes all the way over here? Mm-hmm. Okay.
all right. And so when muscles that when the serratus anterior muscle under the shoulder blade gets weak, more work is forced to be done at the traps.
At the top.
And so chronically tight muscles always have an origin in a chronically weak muscle. Don't chase chronically tight muscles, fix chronically weak muscles.
So if you're going to fix that problem, you're going to pay attention to this weak muscle. not
Correct.
This tight one.
Because you can go and get a massage and stretch all day long, but until you actually address the root cause of why is this muscle overworked, it's never going to relax.
That's so crazy.
It has work to do.
Which is, anytime I have tightness, it's like you're naturally going to want to be like,
Stretch it. Yeah. Stretch it.
massage, foam roll it. But it's like, again, thinking about balance in a whole different way. Mm-hmm. If something is tender and telling you something, it's like, how did it get there? Mm-hmm. What?
Why?
Yeah, the tightness is there, but what is maybe underdeveloped or not strong enough?
Yeah, a really simple hack to change your mindset on that
Yeah, good.
is instead of thinking of something as tight, think of it as overworked.
Okay, help me. Okay.
Okay?
Overworked in the sense that the other muscle's underworked.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Because if that is overworked, what is underworked?
Yes,
Something else.
That's good. I like it.
Okay?
That's good. That's
and
good
so you
tip.
go, why is so much work happening at this area? Okay, so the shoulder blade should be sitting upright.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if the shoulder blade isn't sitting upright, you're going to trash the neck. Okay, so
Can you explain? Okay, so if it is, was that just what you were explaining as far as like if it is angled too far forward, it's just putting too much pressure on those muscles. It's tightening them.
more work is happening through the traps and levator scapula muscle than it should be.
Gotcha. Because like if this moves forward, it's putting more pressure.
Yep, attachment point here and here. If this elevates and shifts forward, then this muscle gets put in a shortened position.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's locked into a turned on position. And so you hear it all the time, oh man, my neck is just always tight.
Yeah. Gotcha.
No, your rotator cuff and your serratus anterior muscle are just always weak.
So how does it get there? How does this get weak? Mm-hmm. I would imagine as this gets weak, this just kind of gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Correct.
Right?
It's culture, it's lifestyle.
Okay,
We
so-
spend our time here,
Okay.
we spend our time here, we spend our time here. Everything is protracted shoulders.
Okay.
And then we have high stress lifestyles, and so when we stress, we contract our traps, we contract our pecs, and so everything gets brought into this protection mechanism.
I don't want you to sweep over that. So like stuff that's going on, like stuff like stress, other things are affecting the way your posture is, the way your body is
100.
naturally staying. So
Your midbrain and your brainstem are what regulates posture. Okay? Also areas of emotional regulation. Our emotions, okay, our midbrain and our brainstem are what regulates posture. They're also centers for emotional regulation.
Right.
And so when we experience danger, when we experience fear, when we experience distrust, we close ourselves up, we protect ourselves. Well, when you look biomechanically, what we're doing, we're contracting our traps, we're contracting our pecs, we're shutting off our rotator cuff, we're shutting off our serratus anterior, we're protecting our vital organs. And so, yes, our lifestyles, our cell phones, our laptops, but also stress, hard relationships, hard conversations, these have biomechanical implications.
And so if they're causing what would be like a closing down of what is happening structurally, that means the reverse happens too, right? So
100%.
That's something to call out.
When you go in and release those biomechanical patterns, you also reduce stress. There's a feedback loop between your biomechanics, your breathing, and your emotions.
breathing. Touch on the breathing part. What do you mean by that? I mean, it's just
Your
breathing better?
Your breathing happens musculoskeletally as a muscle contraction. We don't think of it as a muscle
No,
contraction,
we
but it's a
don't.
muscle contraction.
Really?
Your diaphragm is a muscle. And so when we don't feel safe,
Short breaths,
short breaths,
holding breaths.
holding your breath, you start breathing through your neck rather than through your diaphragm. And that puts you more into your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, and that changes the way you think, it changes the way you feel. So these muscles get atrophied for a whole host of reasons: lifestyle, emotions, our environment.
What mechanically is this turning off? Because I don't know much about what muscle this is and what it's doing. What it's doing.
Yep. So the muscle that we're talking about specifically is called the serratus anterior muscle.
Okay.
It inserts at these ribs and then sneaks under your shoulder blade to the front side of your shoulder blade and the bottom of it. So when it contracts and carries tone, it sinks that shoulder blade down into a healthy position and stabilizes that shoulder blade.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
So that shoulder blade should remain upright.
Wait, so if it's weak, if it's weak,
Yep.
if it's weak and it goes this way, is it getting longer? Mm-hmm. Okay. A weak and long muscle? Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You find that interesting.
I mean, weak and long, I don't know. I don't know why my mind thinks weak, tight, short.
It can be both.
Okay. It
Yeah.
can be weak, tight,
Short muscles
weak,
are
weak,
often
tight.
weak muscles, but you can also have weak muscles that are just elongated.
Write that down. Write that down.
We're getting into technical stuff now. I
didn't
like
know
it.
that. I didn't know that.
So, in order to have a healthy neck, you have to have a healthy mid-back, scapula, and shoulder.
Cool.
Okay? At rest, the shoulder blade should remain upright. The mid-back has to have the ability to extend. The mid-back, the thoracic spine, okay, all these segments allow for motion into extension. In order for our arm to come overhead in a healthy way, our mid-back has to come into an extension, 30 to 40 degrees. Your scapula has to rotate outward.
Yes. Okay.
See my shoulder blade rotating outward?
Yep.
Okay? That outward rotation gets this bone back up here, which allows room for this arm to come overhead.
Yes.
Because if that scapula doesn't rotate, look what happens. Your rotator cuff lives in here.
Yes.
Okay? And so then it just pinches. Boop. Pinch.
And that's where you get the lack of range of motion because it's like, it's not lined up in order to connect or to fully be
You'll have a
released.
bony restriction because this bone will literally run into this bone.
Gotcha.
And so you physically can't raise your arm up any higher. And what you do to fake that range of motion is elevate your shoulder
Shrug.
and use your neck.
Gotcha.
Okay? So in order to have a healthy neck, you have to have a scapula that rests upright, a thoracic spine that can come into extension, a scapula that will rotate when you ask it to,
Cool.
and an arm that can go over your head without your neck dominating that movement.
Right.
That's your checklist.
Cool.
Okay? When this is functional, this gets saved. When this is functional, load doesn't get shoved here. Okay?
That's crazy, yeah. I like it.
So, what happens when you leave dysfunction around for a while? Okay? What does dysfunction look like? It looks like that scapula sitting at an anterior tilt. It looks like this mid-back getting stuck in this sort of kyphotic position. Your arm not being able to go overhead.
Right.
Your neck not being able to turn, right? These are all dysfunctions. Okay? What happens when you leave those things around for a while? Well, you create more focused stress and strain on the structures of the neck.
Okay.
Okay? And then those structures degenerate from the overstress.
Let's talk about that.
Okay? So, some of the most common degenerative patterns in the neck are degenerative disc disease. Okay? Your discs are these little pillow cushions between your vertebrae.
Yes.
Okay? Those will get ground down and you will end up bone on bone.
Okay, I didn't know that could happen in the neck. Mm-hmm. I guess any disc
Any disc can
can
go.
do that.
Yep. There's a gap where your spinal cord runs through. Okay? That can, the bones will grow in around your spinal cord. That's called a stenosis.
Okay.
Okay? These are all load patterns. When you load bone, it grows thicker.
Okay.
Okay? So when you leave the neck loaded, you will get degenerative disc disease, you will get a stenosis, you will get bone spurs, because when you load a bone, it grows thicker. You will get chronically tight traps. There's all sorts of degenerative patterns that will be created if you leave this dysfunction around for a while.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, how do we fix it?
Yes, how do we fix that?
Let's talk about
Let's
that.
do it.
Or our biomechanical dysfunction is always a combination of certain muscles that are too tight, muscles that are locking you in this forward position, muscles that are locking you in this elevated position, okay, paired with muscles that are too weak or atrophied.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, step one, we need to mobilize, release, lengthen these tight muscles.
Yeah, what does that look like?
Okay? So, the big ones to start with are pecs and traps.
Okay.
Okay? So, let's just take you into a simple active pec stretch.
Let's do it.
Okay? So, put hand up on the wall.
Yep.
And then shoulder scooped.
Here, come on this side. Hand up on the wall.
Yep. Shoulders scooped. And you're just going to turn away from your hand until you feel a nice stretch through your pec, through your shoulder, through your bicep.
I just felt a little pop.
That's okay. Okay? So exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale as you go into the stretch. So when you exhale, you're asking for range of motion. You're asking your nervous system to release and relax that muscle. So that's one way of lots of ways to open up the pecs.
How many reps do you usually recommend someone doing this?
10 to 20 reps, couple sets, 2 sets.
Cool.
Okay? Next, let's go into an active trap stretch.
Cool.
Okay, so hand goes toward the floor. Other hand comes to the side of the head, and you're just going to exhale as you side bend that neck. Don't pull on it, you don't want to create pain, you want to ask for range of motion. Okay? And now you should feel a nice gentle stretch through the neck. Okay? And now we'll take this active as well. So inhale, Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 10 to 20 reps, 2 sets. So at this point, we've released the pec, we've released the traps. Those are the 2 muscles that are locking the shoulder in that problematic position.
Wow.
Now we need to turn on and fire the rotator cuff and that serratus anterior muscle.
Yeah, I'm so curious. I've never paid attention to that interior serratus.
Yep, so let's start by turning on that rotator cuff.
Cool.
Classic side-lying external rotator. Good, and now you can support your head
Like,
with your hand. Yep.
this.
And now we're gonna pull the elbow there. We're gonna scoop that shoulder blade down and back.
yeah.
Okay, and now we're just gonna open and close. Open, close. This is a side-lying external rotator. Okay? So you wanna keep that elbow pressed into your side. And now you wanna fire this muscle right on the back side of the shoulder. You don't wanna feel your delts. You don't want to feel your bicep doing the work. Okay, open and squeeze. You want to feel that muscle working. That's the atrophied muscle that you need to get working.
That's interesting. I mean, it's already like kind of sore. Yeah. Kind of.
You seem like you got some more work to do before you can access this. This muscle's working hard. This muscle's
really?
working hard. You're not really getting your rotator cuff firing overly strong. It's getting there.
Okay.
So if you did 3 sets of 30 with just body weight, don't even go to adding weight.
So you do add weight eventually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We build people up to 3 sets of 30 with 3 to 5 to 8 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. Then let's work on that serratus anterior muscle, which anchors that shoulder blade up.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go onto all fours.
Cool.
This one's gonna be hard. So watch me for just a second.
Okay.
You're gonna go into what's called a scapula push-up.
Here, come right here. Yep.
Okay, so shoulders are down away from your ears. You're letting your shoulder blades drop back, and then you're pushing away from you.
Okay.
Drop back, push. Drop back, push. Okay?
Okay.
And you want to feel that serratus anterior right in your armpit firing.
Okay.
Okay?
You might have to show me where I'm supposed to feel the fire.
Yep, shoulders down, and now retract, and now push, separate your shoulder blades. Good, and you want to feel it firing right in there.
Really?
Okay? Retract, push. Good. Keep those shoulders down. Don't use your neck to do it. Yeah. Retract. Push. Good. Shoulders down. Push through here. Push through here.
Interesting.
Down, down, down. Yep. You're literally retraining what muscles are firing.
Yeah, no, it feels very awkward.
That is the nature of getting atrophied muscles to work. Good. So you want to focus on firing that muscle right in there. And it's firing. You're getting it. So 3 sets of 30, and you will have evened out quite a few of those muscular imbalances.
Wow. You know what's funny? When you said it feeling awkward is like a sign of reach, I mean, you should kind of elaborate on that a little bit. Like, is that a pretty common feeling for people?
That feeling of awkwardness happens 100% of the time.
Yeah, so like if we have muscles we're not using, it's gonna feel strange to like search for it to fire, because that's essentially what I'm doing. Like in the move, I'm like, where is it?
Correct.
Okay, there it is.
100%.
Yeah.
The nature of atrophied muscles and getting them to fire is that you have to find them and reconnect them to your brain.
Yeah.
And so
we're searching for a muscle
You're
again.
searching for a muscle again, and it's a weird, uncomfortable,
Goofy
it feels
looking
really
thing, yeah.
goofy and uncoordinated.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
That's the way through.
That's the way we're doing it, yeah.
So when you get this released, the shoulders come back. When you get these released, the shoulders come down. You get this firing, that pulls the shoulder blades up. You get the rotator cuff firing, that pulls the arms back. Now the head sits on top of the shoulders. You've taken the pressure off the traps, and the shoulders are doing what the shoulders are supposed to do.
Wow. Now that you broke down kind of like what it would take to maintain a healthy neck with all of the pieces kind of rolling together. Is there like a routine that could that people can try just to kind of, even at home, just to get it, just to start kind of neutralizing their neck? Maybe that's the problem they have. Is there kind of a program that you could give to someone to try at home, or is that something you feel like we need to kind of help you through? Like Align would have to help you through.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a starting point.
Okay.
I mean, starting with static back, where you're just getting on the floor and taking pressure off of these areas, is going to help to deactivate and relax some of these muscles.
Gotcha.
But I think the starting point is active stretches. The same, I mean, honestly, we just showed you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's it.
Do you think if we gave people kind of an outline, just of that in the description of the video?
Sure, and we
They
can
could
even
try.
link our YouTube exercise videos, because we have exercise videos for all those.
Cool.